The anime opens with a narration of a legend. Long time ago, a seed awakened the heart of the forest. Legend says a beast fell from the moon, shattering it in the process. It has red breath and green tears, and men covered in fear when they see it. In time, the beast's tears dried, and the man strained his ears to hear the voice of the forest. In the 24th century, genetic engineering to create trees capable of flourishing in extreme dry environments has devastated the moon and reduced Earth into a plant-strewn wasteland. After 3 centuries, Japan has devolved into a dystopia dominated by the forest, a vast stretch of sapient trees overseen by tree-like druids and controlling the water supply for both trees and people. The greens were not like ordinary trees and plants. It had a mind of its own and could act like an independent being. Among these severe conditions, the druids and the ever-expanding forest, a few humans survived the disaster several hundred years ago. The world is now in ruins, and human civilization has built 2 major cities in the New World. They are called Ragna and Neutral City. The Neutral City is in the heart of the forest, right above the pool of water that supplies water to both the forest and the humans. It's carved out into the ruins of the destroyed skyscrapers of the past city and uses resources from both the human world and the forest world. As the name suggests, it is a peaceful city that believes in the existence of humans alongside the forest. Ragna is a military base, and the city is in a deserted area of the world. Ever since the city was built, it has only aimed to take over the world and eradicate the ever-expanding forest. Ajito and his father Agashi, as well as his friends Kane and Minka, live in Neutral City, which looks like a city merged with the greens. Neutral City acts as both a buffer and a bridge between the forest and the militaristic nation of Ragna. While the people of Neutral City try their best to coexist peacefully with the trees of the forest, the nation of Ragna seeks to destroy the forest in order to restore the planet to its pre-mutant tree state. One day, Kane and Akito of the Neutral City decide to race each other to see who reaches the pool of water at the bottom of the city first. Excited, the 2 boys haphazardly race through the city, taking care to not make a noise and avoid waking the guard who is guarding the water. As they make their way down, they knock down many things. As they get a bit too carried away with the race, they end up falling into the pool. Even in the water, the 2 boys fight, arguing who dropped first. The chaos wakes the guard. As the 2 have a conversation and fill up their containers for water, the druids arrive. The boys are soon surrounded by the druids, who are enraged by the boys disturbing the sanctity of the forest water. They strike their staff to show the disturbance, which scares Ajito and Kane. The boys quickly start apologizing, but Ajito dives into the water to escape through the other way around. The guard, who was seeing all the incidents unfold, also alerts the humans of the action. The humans are worried that Ajito and Kane's actions will screw up their peace with the druids once again. Meanwhile, as Ajito swims deeper into the water, he gets dragged into the current of a large waterfall and stumbles into a deep underwater island within the water. As Ajito looks around and sees a red light blinking, he approaches the beam, which scans him. He suddenly finds a gigantic machine hidden inside the chamber. Kane, on the other hand, is handed over to the leader Yolda. Ajito climbs to get a better view and notices something strange. He realizes the machine has cryogenic pods storing quite a few dead people. As he keeps checking the pods, he notices the red light once again. He tries to reach the light when a hidden pod opens. He discovers a young girl who has been sleeping for the past 300 years inside one of the operational pods. The young girl is almost the same age as Ajito. As the pod opens, the girl wakes up, still a bit confused where she was. Leader Yolder doubt the druids are angry just because the boys swam in the water. Ajito looks at her, but doesn't seem to be surprised by her appearance or the fact that she appeared from inside the machine. He is more curious if the druids kidnapped her or not. Ajito offers the girl some water to help her recover. Before either of them could say anything, the chamber floods with the water from the pool, and the 2 are forced to escape. After trying for some time, they realize there is no way out for them to escape, as the only door they could find is locked. The girl then uses a special tool called Rabin, which is also her necklace, to unlock the doors, which allows them to find a way out of the place and out into the city. When they are finally outside, the girl introduces herself as Tula, and the 2 get acquainted. She looks around and far, realizing the world has reached a dystopian era. Tula sees all the destruction and feels disappointed. She asks herself what happened to the world she knew of. Ajito brings Tula to Neutral City, and they are summoned before the leader Yolda. She punishes Ajito and Kane for disturbing the pool and then causing such havoc around the city. Ajito is assigned to work with the salvage team for a week. After this, Tula is brought before her Yolda, who tells her she wasn't the only human who had woken up from the machine. This explains why Ajito wasn't scared to see her at all. Yolda explains that the world has changed a lot and that her time records are long gone. Once, there was another man called Shounen who was also like her, but he had already left years ago for Ragna. Yolda explains the current situation and gives her a choice to live in Neutral City. She assigns Ajito, Kane, and their friend Minka to take care of Tula. That night, Tula meets with new people in their adjusted way of life. Tula speaks to her new life and spends time with Kane's family. Ajito returns to his house and tells his father about Tula. Before sleeping, Tula uses her Raben to make a call to contact others like her. The next day, Tula looks around the city and gets along pretty well with Ajito and the others. She looks at the market, which amazes her. The main currency is water to buy anything. The forest is enraged by Tula's waking since she is carrying a Raben, which is a portable personal electronic gadget worn as a necklace that may be used for communication and several other functions. Meanwhile, Yolda realizes something is different with the forest. Turns out the forest is afraid she may fall into the hands of Shounen, a Ragna soldier who was woken from slumber, and that he would use her Raban to locate ESTOC, Environmental Defragmentation System, a deadly weapon capable of wiping out the forest and restoring human rule over the earth. The druids demand Tula to be handed over, or they will stop all water sources. Meanwhile, Tula's mind still doesn't seem to understand the new world. As she tries to rest, she receives a call but cannot answer it. Mika snatches the Raben to have some fun but learns that Raben only works with people it belongs to. As Mika leaves, she announces only she can get married to Ajito, confusing Tula. Ajito and Kane are doing their scavenger hunt in a building when they notice Tula heading towards the forest. Immediately, she is attacked by vines that look like a snake. Ajito saves her and tells her to run. Tula sits on a cliff and feels all alone, and it bugs her almost as if all of this was her fault. She wishes she was asleep and not in a strange, unfamiliar world. Ajito finds Tula alone and depressed and tries to calm her down. He talks about his father and how, if only Tula allows, she will start to love the place too. He brings Tula to his house and introduces her to his father. Turns out, Ajito's father and Kane's father and Minka are enhanced humans. Enhanced humans are humans who have received power from a forest spirit. They look different from others as their hair had turned white, and they possess exceptional powers. His father and Kane's father are the humans who had taken powers from the forest and created Neutral City. However, taking powers from the forest meant that eventually the powers had to be returned to the forest. Ajito's father is at the end of his life now, and he has transformed into a tree and returned to the forest. This was the price to pay for the power. He took power from the forest, and to the forest he will return. Tula is surprised to see Ajito's father. He welcomes her and apologizes for frightening her. However, as he is joined with the forest spirit, he knows the forest is restless because of her. Ajito's father reminds her that if she doesn't leave the past, she should go back to sleep. Only by leaving her past, Tula can live in the present. Shounen ultimately learns about Tula and marches his army towards Neutral City to urge her to join him. The forest dispatches a massive beast to disrupt the conference, which Shounen single-handedly smashes, revealing that he has been improved. He allowed himself to be genetically changed by the forest to grow stronger by harnessing the power of the trees. Shounen uses his knowledge of Tula's father and makes himself acquainted. Yolda appears and says that she won't let Tula to suffer more. However, Tula leaves as she believes more in the past. Convinced that locating ESTOC in her father's lost research is the only way to return the Earth to the reality she once knew, Tula joins Shounen in his quest, despite Ajito's objections. Ajito consults his father Agashi, the founder of Neutral City, who has nearly totally transformed into a tree as a result of being augmented and overusing his talents. With only a few days until he totally transforms into a tree, Agashi pushes Ajito to preserve the forest from Shunek's scheme, because eliminating the trees would mean destroying mankind as well. The next day, Ajito's father has completely transformed. Meanwhile, Tula has a conversation with Shounen, who tells that he has limited time as he is also an enhanced being. He tells Tula that once he shared the same idea as the Neutral City people, but the more he learned, the more he understood that the world is not in the right place. When Tula reaches the Ragna city, she realizes the consequences of a machinery-dependent world. The air is toxic and lives only for the one's shelter is safe. The outside is more dangerous without the existence of the forest, but Ragna is oblivious to it. Ajito travels to the forest alone. Minka was planning to follow Ajito, but is caught by her father and brother Kane. Meanwhile, Ajito reaches the heart of the forest, and the spirits allow him to be strengthened, resulting in his hair turning silver. Ajito is sent to fight the Ragna machines immediately after he is given the power. Ajito comes to get Tula, but he gets shot with chemicals and passes out. Shounen says it's best to chain Ajito to stop his transformation. Ajito wakes up and asks her to return with him, but Tula rejects his concerns and pursues Shounen's path. As soon as Tula leaves, Shounen asks the soldiers to kill Ajito without her knowing. Ajito's immense power of the forest sets him free. He pursues Shounen and Tula to ESTOC, which is a massive volcano transformed into a mechanical weapon. As it turns out, ESTOC was constructed as a precaution against the new species by Tula's father, the doctor who had begun the genetic study on the trees. Shounen betrays the Ragna army and seizes ESTOC, revealing his true intentions to use a weapon to atone for his guilt. Shounen worked on the original genetic alteration experiments on the trees, but became impatient and tried to speed up the alteration process, resulting in the catastrophic invasion of mutant trees. When Tula hears Shounen plans to trigger ESTOC on Neutral City, destroying it totally, she changes her mind and tries to stop Shounen from activating ESTOC, but is rapidly overcome. Ajito tracks him down and confronts Shounen. To save Tula, he allows his augmentation to take control of him, and he changes into a tree, dying himself and Shounen. Tula deactivates ESTOC, and the weapon begins to self-destruct. However, Tula refuses to leave without Ajito, having grown fond of him. Although Ajito's body has been consumed by the tree, his consciousness exists in another dimension, where the forest exposes the truth about the forest's connection with humanity. Ajito discovers that the genetic mixing that gives people superhuman strength and eventually transforms them into trees is a two-way street. It also affects the forest, forcing trees to give birth to young humans in huge fruits. Shounen has found peace with himself after being one with the forest, and he no longer desires to battle Ajito. The forest, recognizing that Ajito can educate mankind that there is no need for enmity or isolation from the trees, restores him to his human form, allowing him and Tula to flee before ESTOC bursts in flames. Ajito promotes peace between all humans and the trees after saving both mankind and the forest. Tula ultimately lets go of her past by tossing her Raben down a cliff into the depths of the forest and finally learning to live in harmony with the trees. That is all about this video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to stay up to date with such interesting movie recap videos here.